Welcome to this episode of Who Gives a Vote, where we discuss all things politics and some other things along the way. All the views expressed in this podcast are personal views and do not reflect the views of any organisation or entity that the participants may be involved with. So let's get started. So, Paul Truscott, welcome to Who Gives a Vote. Is this your first time in the podcast studio? I know you've been out at Maryborough with us a few times and you've spoken to us before the last local government election or last state election?
Last local government election, yes. I definitely remember. This is my first time in the room and I've been admiring how cool this room looks. It's very funky. I love all the different textures and designs and everything, and the temperature's beautiful. You've done a fantastic job setting this room up. But yes, I had forgotten about that we had done previous podcasts before the last one because I was unopposed, and that's why I could talk about it.
Absolutely. And just, I suppose, a disclaimer, you're not speaking on behalf of council, which you're speaking on your own personal view. But also, I guess it's fair to say that we have a friendship, we've worked together. We've known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah, appreciate it. I appreciate your advice that you gave me in our time together on council. In fact, I used some of it recently to start a post that I did.
I did read that, and we're going to get into that probably later on if that's okay.
Sure,
but I did look on that and go, I'm pretty sure I said that, but we'll talk about that. So you've been on council. Tell us about yourself. You've been on the Fraser Coast Regional Council as a councillor for how long now?
As of... in a few months, it'll be 10 years. So this is currently into my third term now, and I'm still enjoying it somehow. There's some days where I do question myself, but I am still enjoying it overall. So having first got elected in 2016, in the election then, having run in 2012, but missed out then by the infamous 2 votes, which still gets me sometimes, but I've let it go. So, but I'm glad. No, I'm enjoying it. So I represent Division 3, in which initially was a small section of Maryborough, but each election it has gotten bigger and bigger, and now covers from the Mary River out to the Bruce Highway, and includes Aldershot, and all the way up to the big roundabout between Maryborough and Harvey Bay, and then sort of out and through some of the side areas there, through Susan River, and then sort of back and does a few doglegs through Maryborough, bordering Daniel Sanderson's Division 4.
And it's fair to say that you are definitely a representative of that division, but you represent the entire region, and you do that well. You are obviously in Harvey Bay today, and you provide a lot of information to the people of Harvey Bay, Maryborough, and the surrounds. Is that fair to say?
I definitely try to. Yeah, that was one of my things that I really wanted to push when I was coming on to council, and then in my first few years on council, really tried to make sure. One thing I felt was that council as an organisation struggled to get information out to the community, and for it to just be real and raw information. And so one thing I really pushed was doing that, and just doing it myself. I think in that process, council as an organisation figured they could do it as well, and so they now do a better job of it, I believe, than they used to. And I'm grateful for the team that we've got in there that are pushing information out, and it's going good.
And it's fair to say, considering this is Who Gives a Vote, every fortnight or every council meeting you get 1 vote per issue, only 1 vote. And today is no exception. You had a council meeting today and there was a number of really important issues you discussed.
Yes, yeah. And in fact, I remember a separate piece of advice you gave me is that the greatest power that we have as a councillor is doing that. Just putting our hand up when the time for the vote comes. And it is. It's the single greatest power that we have as an elected representative, is putting a hand up when it counts, and you are one of 11.
Yep, and representing, I suppose, your vote counts for about 11,000 people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're voting for them, which is interesting because one of the things that you talked about today was the Torquay Caravan Park. I have to be honest with you, I understand why people would have a view on it, either yes or no, and how they could have that view. I guess what I don't understand is the heat of that view. Like it's not something that I thought people would want to die in the ditch for, but it seems to be that this issue has created a lot of controversy, a lot of issues within council and within the community. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, it became surprisingly emotional for people, much more than I would have thought. In in the agenda item for it today, I brought up about how over the years, some of the bigger ticket items that stood out were things like the sports precinct was a big one, and the new council and library building, the green space opposite City Hall, things that people seem to get really emotionally attached to, and how in all of those arguments previously that I'd always had people from both sides of the fence coming and giving their opinions to me about it. And in this case, as I expressed in the meeting, my experience was that no one from the let's not have a caravan park side approached me. And so, all of the people that spoke to me said, we want it to stay as a caravan park.
Now, I wouldn't believe that as a rule.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't
Neither
believe
would
that. Except, and the disclaimer is that we did this review in 2013. That Jan Stuckey, when she was the minister, we did a review of all camping and all camping options. The camping options stakeholders group was run by a good friend of mine, Jeff Redpath, who's passed now.
Yep.
And one of the things that I wanted to achieve from that was to reduce the number of caravan parks on the Esplanade. So if I was voting back then, I would have voted to reduce the number of number of caravan parks. We did, I guess, really intensive stakeholder groups. We involved community groups. We involved community. We involved business. We involved people from Maryborough, people from Hervey Bay, even people from Wuku. There was, and we met once a month for I think it was about 8 months, and it was quite exhaustive. We went through an incredible range of issues. Out of all those people, when that issue about the Torquay Caravan Park or the caravan parks on the Esplanade came up, there was one person who voted to look into reducing the amount of caravan parks, and that was me.
Yeah, right.
Everyone else, without question, and they went away and they were asking people what they thought, and they all came back. And even what surprised me was how many people from Maryborough
said to keep it?
Said to keep it because their history is that's where they used to go for holidays when they were in Maryborough. The family would come and they'd spend weekends there or holidays. And I guess it's a part of their history.
Yeah.
And what we don't realise is that Hervey Bay is a part of Maryborough's history, and it was a lot of the place where people would come and relax and enjoy. And so I guess you don't understand that connection that people have with it. And that's why at that point I voted to keep the caravan parks, even though my personal view was different. I understood community sentiment. So when I say I'd find that hard to believe, except in 2013, I lived your very experience, and that was very few people wanted to see that.
And I suppose I should clarify that I'm not saying there aren't people out there who might want to see the caravan park removed. I'm sure there are people out there that exist that think that way in the general public. I'm just saying that no one approached me. All of the correspondence I received, people stopping me in the street, people stopping me on my morning walk, in the markets, any sort of correspondence was make sure you keep it. And that was predominantly Maryborough people, but also Hervey Bay as well. Yeah, even I put up a post about it before saying that the caravan park is staying. And straight away, people like our family have been there for generations. A Toowoomba councillor was one straight away that got on and said, thanks for keeping it. Yeah, we've been using it for years.
So. Yeah, so that I guess that is interesting. And to be clear, the resolution was about some community consultation because you were going to do some redevelopments of the caravan park to make it sustainable into the future for the next 10 years. Is that right? So then
the February resolution?
Yeah. So the resolution today was to resume development of the Torquay Caravan Park.
Yes.
That acknowledge the community consultation and resume the development of the Torquay Caravan Park. So we're talking about about $9 million worth over a 10-year period. Is that?
Yes, I believe so. And it's not even to start for another couple of years still as well. So no one's going to notice a difference in the next year or two anyway.
So I think within the first 6 years, there's about a budget of $4 million, and then in the 2031, 2032, there's another $3.5 million, or it might be the other way around, but it equates to about over a 10-year period about $9 million.
I believe so. Yeah, off the top of my head.
Yep. Now, what I found interesting was that was the vote for that was 6-4. So about 60% of councillors voted for it, 40% voted against it.
Yes. Yep.
One 10% abstained because had to leave the room. So
Yes.
if you think about it, well, it wouldn't be 10% then, would it?
Yeah.
But it sort of relates to the 4,000 people that responded to this. There was community consultation. Over 4,000 people responded to it. 76% of the community supported it,
Yeah.
and 24% were opposed to it, which when you think about it, that's almost identical to the council vote. For 60-40, 70-30. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a little bit off,
Yeah.
but yeah, I see where you're going with it. But it's yeah, well,
An overwhelming majority.
overwhelming majority still. Yeah, I think that's the main point. And one of the things I raised today about it as well was that the when council gets feedback, and I'm sure you'd remember, is that it's very difficult to get any feedback from the community in solid survey results. Like, I mean, you can get a general feel of how people are feeling, but to actually get their thoughts on a subject is often challenging. So if you get a 600 people responding to something, that's considered a decent survey sample now. So to get something
500 in a national poll is considered good.
Really,
so
in a national poll?
Yeah, so 500. So if you can get 500 people, that's what they aim for, is 500.
Wow.
4,000 people.
Yeah, so I think closer to 4,380 or something, and
That
it's huge.
That's the biggest sample of a community I've seen on a single issue. I cannot recall.
Well,
and it wasn't a small type of survey. It was quite complicated.
You had to put in some time.
It was 20 minutes, is that?
Yeah.
And some people maybe 35.
Yeah, if they put in more time. And look, I get where people say they felt it was a bit clunky. I get that. And when I spoke with the CEO, Ken, at the time, and he sort of explained why he felt it was that way, and that it was the same question that was asked of whether you wanted the caravan park, the open space, or parkland. And so that had the results have been a different option and not in favour of the caravan park, well, then at least if it was open space, we're able to know what people's thoughts were on that. But people felt, because the last question of the survey was, which option do you want? I think people felt they wanted that to be the one and only question that the survey should have been. However, I can understand needing to get more detail from people.
But if that was a question, then you would question the reason why they wanted that.
That's right.
So
it's exactly right.
Unpacking all that other information, it's
important.
Yeah, and you can probably use that data as references to assist you with other things as well, whether it be cleaning up the esplanade. And look, there were a few issues that were raised, and maybe you could tell me why you voted or why you wanted to see the Torquay Caravan Park redeveloped. Yeah,
well, look, I mean, we're redeveloping the other ones as well, so I think it's important to not leave one of them behind. It's an income-producing asset, which has been a huge thing. Council doesn't have many income-producing assets, and so to get rid of that, I don't think is a good idea. And in place of an asset then that's going to cost us money, I can see the benefits of having a park and open space, and I'm not denying that. And I thank the councillor for that today as well, for raising that. I'm open to looking at other spaces that could be open space or parkland if that is what the community want. But I just don't think it needs to be there.
There's a lot of tourism nodes on the esplanade already. There's a lot of variety on the esplanade.
Yeah.
That's probably what makes it really nice. I suppose from my perspective, the question I wanted to ask you is, do you think the council should be in commercial business competing with other businesses? It's an interesting question. And ultimately, if it was just me making that decision, probably not. No, I don't really think it's an area where we need to play. But it's sort of one of those things that it is there now. And to change that's probably more drama than to just keep it and just keep rolling with it. If someone was suggesting council start one, no, I'd probably be against that. But it's a similar thing with sporting fields and that too. Like, why does council run swimming pools? Like, we don't run tennis courts, we don't run cricket fields and that sort of thing. Other people do that. And I know there are options for leasing out pools and that sort of thing. And pools, I feel, well, especially where in places like in Maryborough where we don't have the option of a beach, it's nice to have a public place to go and cool off.
it's a bit of a different, tricky one. Like, but we don't, in general, go and say, hey, let's go and start a commercial entity like that.
Yeah, so I guess that from my perspective, there's plenty of green space, and council invests a lot of money in the maintenance of that. As you know, maintenance schedules
It's huge.
of green space is a massive issue, and come summer, you're going to get phone calls, aren't you? You're going to get phone calls, why isn't this park being mowed?
Yep.
And then you could send a message to the CEO, can you increase it? And you go, yeah, we can increase it, but you're going to have to increase the budget.
Yep.
There's those issues. So you're right, parkland does cost money. We have a lot of options on the foreshore. But is it fair to say that one of the things that probably is worth looking at or worth considering, which wasn't even discussed by anyone who was against it, was the commerciality of councils competing with other businesses?
Yeah.
The caveat to that is a lot of accommodation outlets and commercial accommodation outlets that I've spoken to like having the caravan parks there anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. They want it there because they make money out of it, which is great.
I want to go on to some issues that were raised on the actual meeting today in the meeting, and I'm going to ask you them. If you feel as though I shouldn't be, because we are going live and I haven't given you any notice, you've just come in from the council meeting. Let's
go.
But I'm interested to understand why. So if you feel as though you can't answer these questions, just don't answer them, and we'll move on. Is that so? These aren't gotcha questions.
I do not know these questions in advance.
So there was a councillor who said two things that, being an ex-councillor, really, it caused me concern to go, well, that sounds not good, or there's something underlying. And I'll try and paraphrase what they said. They said the report was deliberately steered in ways to get certain outcomes.
Oh.
Firstly, can you give some, why would a councillor say that? And do you believe that the report, and by the report I mean the community consultation.
Yeah.
I found it interesting that councillor said, thank you for the people who organised the community consultation, and thank you for the staff who did the work, but it was also the staff who
wrote the survey.
So were you concerned that the report was deliberately steered in ways to get certain outcomes?
I was not personally, because I knew the public would do the right thing. And if anything, considering that was a comment made by a councillor that didn't support the caravan park, however, the community who were saying they do want to keep the caravan park said that they felt the survey was written in a way that was not supportive of the caravan park, seems at odds with that comment. So I can't see how someone that didn't want to keep the caravan park could think that the survey was skewed towards the other way, because if anything, everyone that wanted to keep it felt it was skewed towards getting rid of it.
I guess it's that case when you're on one side, you always think the bias is, I can't stand bias unless it's in my favour.
Exactly.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so I don't see how that made sense, because, it's just, to me, it didn't suit my agenda, so I'm expressing that.
Yeah.
That would be how that felt to me, and that's not a criticism or anything. That's just, I guess, my first impression at that comment.
The other part or the limb to that was that councillor said, I was disappointed that personal opinions in the community, and that personal opinions to the community assumed certain outcomes. So it's effectively, in how I understood that, was that opinions shared by other councillors in the community made the assumption that the outcome was going to be that the Torquay Caravan Park was going to resume development.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting.
Did I misread that? I don't think I did. It sounded to me like they were saying that councillors were talking in the community as if this was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I suppose I could see how they could feel that, but at the same time I'm thinking, well, I saw councillor comments on the other side of the fence to me that were doing the same thing. So going, well, it's just a matter of opinion. And I'm pretty sure whenever, like I only posted once about the Torquay Caravan Park, just saying here's my thoughts, and that was during halfway through the consultation, and just encouraging people to fill in the survey, and in saying that I have been supportive of it, as I was back in February when this came about. Well, originally back from October last year, but then February was when it sort of started. Yes, I wouldn't agree with that. I think is my simple answer.
Yeah, I have a very strong view that councillors who have an opinion on something should share that as soon as they have formed that opinion.
Yeah, and especially where you're allowed to. Like there's certain ones, like when the Sheraton development was coming, we weren't allowed to because of the type of development application that it was.
And you can't even say that you don't support that type of development.
I think on a technicality you can say I support high rises in general, but you can't say I'm going to support the Sheraton development.
Yep.
So whereas this one, because it's not a development application or anything like that, we were able to clearly state which way we were going with it.
Yep. And I understand that there is discussion about creating more green space on the foreshore. I would assume that would also have public consultation as well, because that's going to come at an exceptional cost.
Yeah.
And when you think about some of the spaces that have been saved with a lot of vegetation, is places like Thomas's Walk and Cooper's Walk.
Yeah, beautiful spots.
Hundreds of thousands of extra trees have been placed there. I would suggest that the beauty of the Hervey Bay foreshore is that when you're walking on the beach, the green space, the greenery that hides the road, you feel like you're hidden away. So
somewhere else.
Yeah. So you don't need to clear green space to enjoy green space, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you had a lot with getting those spaces created, didn't you? You had a lot of involvement.
I did, and it came.
And they're beautiful spots. So I'm thanking you. Yeah,
and it came from. I was heavily criticised by people who lived across the road, saying they wanted it cleared all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And I looked at it, considered it, and I thought, no, this is too valuable. So we put some more value to it. We value added to it. We made it a place where people could come and remember people they've lost.
Yeah.
So there's a mother's secret garden. There's places where people can go and reflect. So that's more valuable. And there's an example of where the community some in the community, right opposite, wanted it cleared. Yeah. We turned it into something special, and then the whole of community embraced it. It's a very beautiful spot, and I love going down there. And when you've left council, you won't look at the controversial issues. Yeah. What you'll look at is the legacy that you've left. Yeah. What have you done? What have you achieved? The votes, they're one thing, but it's just in the accumulation of those things that you've achieved. And I'm sure you would look back even now and think about some of the great things you've achieved. If it wasn't for you coming into council, the sports precinct most likely wouldn't have gone through, would it? No. So you were a decisive vote, and you considered every option when you came into council. And now young kids are achieving outcomes and living a good life because of that decision you've made. So those legacy things are really important.
They're nice to think back on and to gain perspective on. Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is the local government Association of Queensland putting up a resolution. Yeah. They've asked all councils to there is
an opinion.
It relates to the fact that councillors, with the amendment to the Local Government Act by the state government, if you want to run for council, if you're in council holding a councillor seat and you want to run for state, you have to resign your seat in order to run. You voted for the yes, which is that councillors should not automatically stop being a councillor in the event of being nominated for election in the Queensland Parliament. So why did you vote yes and others in the room voted no?
So it was a close vote, that one. I think it was 5-6. And I feel that people should be able to run for a position. And that's not to make light or little of having been in a councillor position and then doing it. I get where others are coming from now, especially since the state have set their terms to 4 years, and it's in the same year that local government elections are held. So I get that. If they were in a different year, perhaps it would be a different outcome. But I don't think that the government have got that right in how they're putting it forward, and especially because it doesn't consider for things like by-elections of a state seat, because that could happen at any point during a term, and also too, if more than one councillor ran for a seat, you would have multiple by-elections of that then council, and then if neither or however many run and don't get in, then you're having by-elections there that were completely unnecessary. I think so therefore I think the potential is to be more expensive and less democratic, and to really stop healthy competition.
And I understand how you could make the argument that you shouldn't run if you've already agreed in April to.
I get that.
But
and I'm not disagreeing with that too. I hear that.
But things change, and like you said, the by-elections. My view is simple, and you talk about democracy, and because this is a podcast, I can have views. I don't like, and I'm not a politician, so I can say what I think, and I'm not in council, so this has no bearing on me whatsoever, other than what it means is the potential for us not to have the best candidate running for state is at risk, because we bring in these arbitrary types of rules, not as good governance, not as good policy, but as a political manoeuvre to try and keep as many seats as you can within the government. Now, that's my view. Why can't the community decide?
Yeah.
If it's democracy, if they don't want a councillor to run in state government,
they won't vote them.
Don't vote them in.
And then they'd probably remember it the next time too.
Yeah.
I think it depends, how well that person is liked, how what they're wanting to achieve. Maybe it, and people were saying comments like, oh, if you were going to run for state in October, you'd know by April. Maybe you don't. Life changes. Life throws curveballs at you all the time. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Why do we have to make rules when the community can make a decision for themselves? The community can make a decision, and that's how democracy works. And you talked before about even the survey being clunky. Well, it's meant to be clunky. It's democracy. Democracy is messy. You can't always get the right answer all the time, and you don't always ask the right question.
Yeah.
But if you ask enough of them and you trust your community, you're going to get the right answer. Now, prescribing this and setting it as a law, to me, is backwards, because democracy should be a case that if I want to nominate, no matter who I am, unless I have unless I have something about me that disqualifies me to run,
you should be allowed to.
I should be able to run.
Yeah.
And the community can decide at the ballot. To me, that is democracy. And maybe I'm a libertarian, I'm not sure, but I just think that's the right way. What, do you agree that the community...
I agree. I think it should be up to the people to decide. Plain and simple. It should just be, I get the concerns. It's not that, I'm not saying that I don't understand the concerns. I do, but I just think that at the end of the day, it should be up to the people to decide who they want to represent them. And life can throw changes at you at any time. So you never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about something that you had to go through recently, and you did put a post up, and we sort of, intimated it at the beginning of this podcast, and that is you had a complaint, and it's not every day that you have a human rights complaint made against you.
Yeah.
It related to a council meeting where someone was talking over the allotted time, and you made a comment. Did you want to share that story?
Happy to, yeah. It was a very weird situation, and to be honest, I don't understand why I was the target of it, really. This was mid last year and only got resolved mid last month. And so it's been a long process. And I should state that most of it has been over the last several months. There's sort of a long period where they just leave it in their assessment limbo. And so it was from a council meeting, and I was the chair of the meeting. Our Mayor George lets the Deputy Mayor chair the public participation section. And so I'm doing that, and all the participants are given notice in advance that their allotted time to speak is 3 minutes. The person can ask for an extension of time. This person did. The rules state that you can get given 5 minutes total. This person was given 6 minutes, so given extra time. And then once they'd reached the 6 minutes, still continuing to go on, and not really getting to a point. The person, as they're going on, the mayor was trying to assist the person in saying, like, we need you to get to a point here. Like, what are you trying to tell us? And then the person was getting hostile and aggravated. And at one point I said that we may need to ask for security for the safety of the councillors and staff in the room. And then at about 10 minutes, the person stopped speaking and then just left the room. That was the end of it. I thought, all right, fair enough. That was weird, but all right.
So did you say the mayor was chairing the meeting or you were?
I was chairing the meeting. However, the mayor was speaking to the person to try and help them get to a point.
So if we break that down then, under the standing orders of chairing those meetings, you're required for the order of the meeting, the peaceful order, and if someone's out of order, you're required to address that, whether that be public participation or...
Yeah.
Yep, so that's it's a responsibility.
Yep.
For example, if they started being offensive towards someone and you didn't pull them up, then you would be equally held accountable for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what happened. And there's a recording of the meeting as well. So that is, all of that is clearly evident there. And I'm not trying to put our mayor in it either. The mayor was just purely trying to help this person. And the person then went and put in a complaint to the Human Rights Commission, stating that they were not given enough time to speak, that I constantly interrupted them, and that I physically dragged the person out of the room. And I'm going, what? Like, none of those things happened.
Did you spiritually drag him out of the room?
Maybe I'm fire eyes. I'm just going, I don't get this. That doesn't make sense. And so, and the Human Rights Commission, they said to me, when I said, but you've got the recording, you know that didn't happen, you've got the evidence. That evidence doesn't matter, we're more concerned about this person's feelings. And I'm just sitting there going, you can't be serious.
Did they say evidence doesn't matter? Or?
Evidence doesn't matter. And I'm going, but everything that this person has alleged didn't happen. They were given enough time. I spoke once, so I couldn't call that a constant interruption, and I certainly didn't physically drag them out of the room. They never asked a single person in the room for like any form of a witness statement or anything, but I suppose because evidence doesn't matter, maybe that's why they didn't ask. And yeah, so it went on and on. Council's costs, so for the legal fees and staff time is about $20,000 all up. Of which 15 was direct to solicitors, and then you've got staff time involved in there. So over a long period of time, which is just a huge, incredible waste of money for something that never happened. You just go, how is that justified?
So what was the outcome in the end?
So the outcome is that no one admits liability because they were concerned. Well, they said the person could have requested compensation. I'm going, well, I sure as heck hope that we aren't doing that, because why would we pay someone for something that didn't happen? And then the result was to address council's the public presentations policy, and basically they believe that we should allow anyone that feels they need to speak for longer to allow them. And so, but I said, but we can't do that because we are under legislated obligations to begin the council meetings at a certain time. So if someone just goes on and on, how do we address that? And I even suggested to them, I said, okay, so if you're in my position as the chair, how would you deal with it? And basically they told me that the person should be given notice of how long they've got to speak, and then when they're getting near that time to try and summarise it, and then once the time has expired to let them know. And I said, so you're telling me to do exactly what we did, and we still ended up in front of the Human Rights Commission.
Was that a recommendation that they made, or was it?
That was just part of the discussion with them. Yeah. So not an official recommendation, just their discussion.
So you could dismiss that and say, well, that doesn't comply with the legislation. It doesn't comply with standing orders. It doesn't
Yeah.
comply with rational thinking. And is there a situation where you believe, like, it's important that people are able to make a complaint?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Both through the process, through the government, and also
Yep.
through the Human Rights Act.
Yeah.
And to be clear, so that you were assessed under the Human Rights Act of Queensland. That's
Correct.
right. Yep.
Yes, the Human Rights Commission of Queensland.
Which basically were their rights violated based on the fact of who they were or who they represented.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to find that you were, but that still caused you some stress.
Yeah, absolutely, for a significant period of time.
Yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure I gave you some advice, and that's where we started this podcast,
Yes.
which was...
if you haven't had complaints made against you, you're not doing your job right.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is there that you can't be a populist. You can't do things simply because they're easy, because at the end of the day, easy decisions create hard outcomes.
Yeah.
Whereas hard decisions create good outcomes.
Yep. Well
And
said.
sometimes people are going to get upset. And in that situation, I can't see how you could have done anything different. It's frustrating, I suppose, from your perspective, that process was so costly where it should have been resolved in an afternoon.
In just there's evidence, none of this happened. Sorry, that's frivolous, vexatious. Thanks for coming. But yeah, absolutely. People should be able to make complaints. I'm not wanting to dismiss that. They should be able to make complaints where there's generally evidence is a good start too.
Do you think they should get be able to, there's got to be a vetting process before it gets decided by the Human Rights Commission, or?
Probably, yeah. I should say I'm grateful to the Hervey Bay state member as well, David Lee, because he has taken this case up and spoken about it in Parliament as well, and has since followed it up with the Attorney General as well. So I'm appreciative of that, to see what, if anything, can come from it.
It'd be nice if they could tidy it up in the actual legislation and bring out some amendments to that act.
To just try and stop this nonsense from happening. Because
it is important that the fundamental rights and principles that we enjoy as Australians are adhered to.
Yeah.
And if people breach those, then they should have a recourse.
Yes, yeah.
But telling someone that they should stop speaking after 10 minutes when they're only allowed to have 5 minutes, it doesn't fall into that.
No, it really doesn't. And this particular individual, because they were concerned, saying, well, maybe this individual wouldn't be able to get their point across in that time. And I'm going, well, this individual has spoken at other council public participation sections and has done that. So I don't see why all of a sudden they can't.
But that's not the only place you have to be able to be heard.
I raised that with them as well, saying they could have a deputation in the council meeting as well if they wanted, which is a 15-minute session. They can email a council, they can phone a council, they can come to community presentations, they can have a face-to-face meeting. So if you're really just wanting to talk to a councillor, that's possible. This is just one format that is a 3-minute allocation of time.
And it's structured, which is important, because if you're waiting to speak and you've been given a time and someone takes up all the time and then it's 10 o'clock and you miss out, whose rights have been violated then?
Exactly right.
These are frustrating things, but I think the complaints process is important. I understand that the state government is also considering changes to the Local Government Act in relation to the complaints process that will make the threshold higher for council complaints, particularly because I would assume that 70% of councillor complaints are from other councillors.
Oh, definitely.
And this is going to make that it's going to make that stricter, isn't it?
I hope so. I've just had another one dismissed against me since then. And so, through the Office of the Independent Assessor. And
which one was that? Can you say? Or
this is another complaint that I've had since the human rights one. I don't even know if I'm allowed to or supposed to talk about it, but it was a complaint made.
It'll be on the register, so.
Well, I don't know, because they haven't sent official correspondence yet, but they've given me advice that it will be dismissed. So,
let's not go into detail. But what's the theme of it? Is it
alleging that I had misconduct and that I shouldn't have been involved in the Torquay Caravan Park discussion and other discussions as well? And I'm going, well, this is a load of nonsense, and again, no evidence and baseless, and thankfully the OIA have dismissed it.
There's the Office of the Independent Assessor.
Correct. Yeah. So they are the body set up
Yeah.
to investigate councillor complaints.
Well, I'm glad they got that sorted out before you went and voted today, because you would have had to declare a conflict otherwise.
Well, no, I didn't. So you only have to declare a conflict if, like, it's up to the council law to.
Unless the Office of the Independent Assessor tells you have.
If they tell you have a conflict, then surely yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what concerns me is that whoever put it in, and again, that's within their rights to do so. They should have, by rights, mentioned it in the meeting that they felt I have a conflict.
Oh, you believe it was a councillor?
Oh, I believe so, but yeah.
You don't know?
I don't know,
No.
but that would be my assumption. But yeah.
Yeah. So if you're the councillor who made that complaint, you need to rethink about it and maybe next meeting declare a conflict, that you had a conflict?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a vortex.
But I mean, look, I don't care. It's these things happen. Like we said, if you're not getting complaints made about you, you're not doing your job right.
I don't believe you. I think you do care. I think you care deeply, but I'm sure that you're not going to let it dissuade you from doing your job.
No, that's right. I got to do my job, and these are people that I have to work with, and so I'm happy to work with them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine by me.
How are you enjoying the job?
There's good days and there's bad days. I heard Chris Pratt, I think it was, the actor, when someone asked him, how's it going? And he said, long days, short years. I thought that was a good answer.
Yeah.
And yeah, some days it's very similar to that, in that there is, especially this time of year, there's so much on the go, just constantly being at one thing to another. And it's good, and I enjoy it, but at the same time, you do have to find a balance in that, and that's hard to try and do sometimes.
Yeah, I remember when people used to ask me when I was a councillor, so what do you do? I said, I really don't know, but I do a lot of it.
Yeah, that's
a lot.
When people ask you, well, initially if you say councillor, they'll usually think like the psychologist counsellor. And then so sometimes I just tell people I just work for the council.
Yeah.
That's easier.
Or you can say, I'm the councillor, not the one that cares. The one that doesn't care.
Well, it depends who you ask, I suppose.
Yeah. So you've got another three and a half
just over
years?
2 years left on this term. Yeah, 2028 is the next election.
So that's three terms you would have served.
Yep.
Can you see yourself serving a fourth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I want to be serving in some capacity. Yeah. I enjoy serving the community, and yeah, like I said, there's good days and bad days, but overall I believe I'm here for a purpose for such a time as this, and some days it's just trying to stand up for what I believe is right, and others might disagree with what they believe I think is right, but I'm just going to do what I feel is right.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? I've gone through all the things that I wanted to chat about. It was a good council meeting today. It was very informative. It's live streamed on YouTube like this is. I did note that one of the councillors gave a mention to the Who Gives a Vote podcast.
Yes,
so Lachlan Cosgrove,
That's
you'll have
right.
to come on the podcast as well sometime. And
he's a fan, so hopefully he's heard this one as well.
Yeah, maybe he's one of the two people that are listening.
Hey, there'll be more later. I'm sure they'll catch up.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, look, I want to come back just to be in this cool room again.
The door's always open until we're recording, and then it's shut and locked.
Oh, fair enough.
But is there anything that's happening that you wanted to share before we leave?
Christmas. Christmas is coming up. People need to remember the real reason for Christmas, and that is the birth of Jesus Christ. Not saying he was born on the 25th of December, but that's the reason we remember it.
The salvation story, the start of it anyway.
The start of it anyway, yeah. I got to share at the Maryborough Carols in the Park the other night, and I got to give the Christmas message in that as part of the MC role, and it was great. Yeah, really good.
How do you manage your faith, but serving people who may not have the same faith or values or beliefs as you do, but making sure they're equally represented?
Yeah, look, anyone that comes to me with an issue, I'm going to help them. It doesn't matter to me where they come from. I will treat everybody with respect, and if they are no longer treating me with respect, then if it gets to the point where I just can't deal with them, that's a separate issue, and I'll address that. But doesn't matter to me where they come from, what the complaint is, or what they're dealing with. I will treat them the same as everybody else, because that's what Jesus would do. Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to 2026?
Yeah. Long days, short years. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. There's always good things on the go, and my family's growing.
That they are, yes.
Yeah, my boys are huge, and yeah, it's great. My wife and I will be married 20 years next year. It just goes by really fast.
Very quickly, very quickly.
Yeah.
Awesome, Paul.
Thank you for your time.
Let's not have such a long time before we connect again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here in the podcast studio within the next couple of months.